Hey Momlenials, welcome back. We're here for the Q&A with Otakara Klettke and her daughter Sophia, and we're so excited to have them on with us. So as promised, I wanted to get some questions out there, but we have the pleasure of having Sophia, her daughter, to give us her review on what she thought the process was for her mom, like what she saw her mom do, what she thinks of the amazing job that her mom's done, and what she thinks of the book and the success of it. So Sophia, what is the most what makes you the proudest right now about your mom?
Well, yesterday she just got her bestseller orange banner. And I know that's a really big deal. So
that's amazing. And I know you played a big part of her writing this book, so it's kind of your success as well too, right?
Yeah, I'm the beta reader.
Wow. And I know you're a very good reader from what I see, and you've helped your mom through the whole process. What's your favorite part of the book?
I like when they go to the dog park and Bella jumps over the fence and AC can't, and so she just pretends like she could have, but instead she'll snoop around.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't gotten to that part, but I just recently started, so I'm excited to continue it and get to that part. But that's so cool. Sophia, thank you so much for being part of this. I know your mom is very, very proud of her accomplishments, and I know you're very proud of her accomplishments, and you've been super supportive of your mom. So I love it. I can't wait to tell my daughter's this big and she can see, you know, all my accomplishments as well. It must be a very gratifying feeling, right, Otakara?
Absolutely. Hi, and let me say thank you for having me back here. So, and absolutely, it is a great feeling, and I think it's a good thing for, as much as it does take time away from your child, at the same time your child sees that you're doing something
big and important.
Something big and important, and you go after that. So like it gives them the motivation. When I started writing my first book, in the timeline, she actually was just like, how you do this and things. So I helped her, and she wrote like almost like a book, like really, really long story all on her own. And it was like without me even trying to prompt. I was not, you know, like, I'm doing this, so you have to be doing this. She just saw me doing this, so she was like, I want to write something myself. And now she's looking into trying to get like some sort of like a children's book competition. So hopefully she's gonna write a story that hopefully will get published there too. So she's now like trying to enter the little, you know, the kids writing things. So
that's amazing.
It's a good thing because she sees it, and she's the part, and she learned what it means to be the beta reader, to be the first person before the book's revised, to read the book and give me feedback. So, which is important, and it's important to have with the children's book, it was important to have the feedback from the child's point of view. So, because there are things as a grown-up you actually don't see that the child sees in it.
Yes.
And once they point out, they go like, oh wow, my brain just doesn't go that direction. So it's important to have that. So she was an important part for me to understand it.
No, that's amazing. Sophia, so now that you want to become a writer, I see, what do you like to write about? Like, what are your topics of interest?
I really like the pioneer times, so like the 17th century, like, you know,
1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So most of your stories are going to be based in that time?
Yeah.
Oh,
probably the first story I wrote was a diary of a girl named Dorothy Kettle, and she had 2 older brothers, and it was the story of them moving west with their family.
okay.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
I'll let you go.
Okay.
Your friend's trying to call you and take the phone.
So nice to meet you. Bye, Sophia.
Come here, come say bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh my God. You should be so proud, Otakara. You're doing an awesome job. Holy.
It is good, but you know what? You're doing awesome for doing this, what you're doing, because when Sophia was the age of your daughter, there was absolutely nothing I could do. And the truth is, too, since we are in such an intimate mom's environment,
Yes.
the truth is, if you ask me back then, I thought my life I will never ever accomplish anything. You know, I was just so tired and so drained of just being mom.
Mm-hmm.
That you feel that if, you know, it almost, I remember like the time when she was learning to be potty trained, and she learned early. She was potty trained when she was 2 years old, like 2 years old and 3-4 days, and she got it. Like she got it from the day to day. It was like, we worked on it. There was nothing. When she actually did it for the first time, she realized, oh wow, this is what they want from me, and she was on. But I remember the time prior, I thought she will never, like, you go through this moment where you think like she will never be potty trained ever in her life, you know. And so like I was when she was your daughter's age, I thought there would be like nothing I could ever be part of, and I could never ever accomplish anything. So so definitely it took its time, but you can do it, and it's a great thing if you can do something that your child can be part of.
Awesome. Let me just, hey Tara, how are you?
Hey, good, how are you?
Good, thanks for joining us. This is Tara, this is Otakara. So
Hi, Tara.
we were just talking to her daughter Sophia, you just missed it, talking about, you know, her mom's accomplishments and her now dreams to become a writer, and she is writing some children's book, her daughter Sophia.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's really, really cool to see how, you know, what her mom's doing is now influencing her daughter so much. I'm like, I can't wait till my daughter's like doing stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's in a way like an honor to you, you know. It's beautiful to see. And then we were just talking about, you know, how her time through when her daughter was really young, she didn't think she would be able to accomplish anything, you know, and then she saw the years pass and she was able to. So yeah, continue, Otakara, sorry.
And that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Like, well, and I don't know, maybe to encourage, if you ever have like challenging child, or you know, the childhood of your child, for whatever reason, doesn't have to be challenging child. It's going to be challenging health of your child, or diet, or, you know, something. It doesn't matter. But, you know, when you're a mom, you're badass. Like, it's like, before you become mom, you can be like good and successful and all kinds of things. But becoming mom, you're becoming the badass. Like, really, because you learn to do things, and you learn to get, you know, after you become the lioness. And so definitely when maybe the child grows up a little and things ease up, then you can do things like write a book, because you already been working so hard that, you know, you just gotta keep the momentum, and things do get easier, you know, as the child is growing a little.
That's amazing to hear. And I think a lot of us moms, especially when we have a young kid, and I was feeling the same way, where you don't think you can accomplish much, you know, and now we're all starting to try, you know, we're all trying to be entrepreneurs or go back to work or something, you know, and it's hard because you feel like you just can't accomplish it when the child is so young. But it's nice to talk to someone who got to the other side, you know? And it's like, okay, this isn't forever, there's hope. You know, Otakara gave herself the gift of writing her first book to herself for her 40th birthday. And she did that as a way to, you know, she always wanted to become a writer. So we talked about that in the interview I did with her, and I thought that was such a beautiful thing. And I think, you know, it really teaches you that you don't have to give up on your dreams, that sometimes timing is everything, and sometimes the timing is off, and it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. But, you know, being, I guess, consistent in trying and keeping it in the back of your mind, you know, and knowing this is really what I want. And I think that's helped me a lot too with what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know? I know you are have your own like home.
Yep.
Right? What is it in? Sorry?
Health and wellness.
Oh, yes. So Tara's doing health and wellness. So as you can see, moms now are really trying to, like, you know, do something on the side. One, because we nowadays we need the extra money, and if it's not only that, it's to keep our sanity. You know, it's to keep our sanity, because it gives us a way to talk to other people, to socialize, and to learn something new. You know, and we're young and we never want to stop learning, you know, and to talk to a child all day, it's not easy. It's not easy.
You need to have a grown-up language in your life. So yes, definitely, for sure. And my first book was in health and wellness. So actually it was for a grown-up, for not the nonfiction.
Oh. Yes. What was the name? Say the name so that she, in case she wants to know.
It's called Hear Your Body Whisper, How to Unlock Your Self-Healing Mechanism.
I'll have to write that down.
Yeah.
I'll look that up.
You will probably post the link, right, Gisela? So
yes, I will too.
So
oh my God, if you should watch the interview too I did before with her, because she really talks about what this book was about, and I want to read it definitely. I think basically you were saying that it has to do with the idea that your body is created in a way that everything works to heal itself, every cell, every particle in your body, right?
Yes. So all you have to do is try to keep it in balance. If you keep it in balance, your body will, you know, do itself. The problem is sometimes the doctors, they give you pills, and that, like, you know, obviously you're constantly going through life and you're encountering germs, you're encountering viruses. So it's not like you're 100% healthy, but it means that, like, if you encounter something, your body actually knows what to do and how to deal with it. So you just leave the body, and when it's teeter-totters to one side, it will find its balance on its own when you're basically trying to just keep it in balance. And if you, for example, go to the doctors, a lot of times they give you a pill that, like, offsets something, but the balance drops somewhere else by giving you that medication. And then you become part of this whole medical system that basically constantly is trying to, like, kick that teeter-totter, but I kick it somewhere too much and it drops off somewhere else. And I don't speak against doctors. I definitely feel, you know, legitimate reasons and moments when it's good, but to use them. But I always, like, the thing is that what I preach is to first time kind of have the conversation with your own body and talk to your own body, see what your body wants. And it will tell you. It will tell you. There is the way to tell you, and that your body will communicate with you.
No, I truly do believe it. I think that there's such a industry to promote just like prevention is more important, you know, like to talk to your body, to know your body, and then to take care of it in a way that's natural. You know, like when I've been to a naturopath who, like, did a test on my blood, and she told me everything I needed that was natural. She's like, have some garlic because your blood is a bit thick. It'll help thin out your blood more. It's good for you anyway. She told me to have aloe vera, like just 2 shots of it, a shot of it a day. It was very good for me as well. I had some, like, yeast and fungus in my blood, and it was hilarious because I was suffering from having that in my blood, and I had no idea, and I had to cut out mushrooms, bread, all this stuff because it was really harming me, you know. And when I cut it out, it was gone. Like I was fine, you know. But it's crazy. Your body does tell you exactly when you do things to prevent it, and you take vitamins, and, you know, you do natural things that are, you know, so accessible. It really makes a difference.
That's a lot about what my company does, is prevention over treatment, you know. So, and it's all natural products. So yeah, it's everything you both just said, like, hit the nail on the head.
He's so cute. Hi.
Very nice. Yeah. Hi. Oh my goodness, we get smiles.
A little stud.
We get some
Aw.
smiles.
He is so cute. Look at his little red head.
Um, he says, ladies, I steal your heart already.
Yeah.
You just wait, mama, when I grow up.
Oh, I know. I'm in for it.
You're gonna get a girlfriend in like 3 years, right from the playground.
He already chases girls around.
So cute. Oh my goodness. No, no, that's awesome that you work for in a company that really is trying to have make a difference prior to being sick, and I think that's so important, especially now with the way cancer's at such a in high numbers, especially breast cancer. There's ways in everything. I know a lot. This can go on forever, but I've even looked into maybe doing a vegan diet because, like, literally, I feel like my body is not reacting very good to meat anymore. Like, I took out dairy recently, and I never did that before because I'm like, oh, I was raised with this. How can dairy ever do any harm to me?
Right.
And I took it out because I wasn't feeling too good, and it completely changed. My face changed. Like, my face started to break out like less because I used to break out a lot. My digestive system started to work better, and I just started to listen to my body in a different way, and it was like mind-blowing. But it's a process for me. I'm slowly making healthier, better choices for myself, but it's good to be educated and knowing, and
Absolutely.
that are so helpful.
Absolutely. And like what I tell even in my book, I'm not, I'm not for or against like vegans, vegetarians, or omnivores. I think this is something that it's so individual, and everybody's body it's set for something. So while for someone being vegan works, there are people for which this does not work. So it's important to just know what is, because you're individual, you're created of your individual cells, and you have your individual biodome of like all your microbacterial organisms. They are on the top and an inside of your body. And so it's important to understand who they are and how you should work with them. And each person has their own individual needs. So the only thing what I'm not a fan of, if somebody tells you like, you gotta eat this and this and this, and this is like exactly how it is.
Yeah.
And no matter what, like, I mean, there are things I'm truly against. I'm definitely not a fan of genetically modified organisms. So I don't do any GMOs. I do personally try to avoid as much of conventionally grown vegetables. I try to eat organic, but I can like sometimes, and it depends like what veggies there are things, because I understand it's pricey. So sometimes you can't go in that direction so much, but it's good to know which vegetables, for example, absorb more of pesticides and which do less. So then you can make like your choices. Okay, with this thing, I'm gonna eat potatoes that have, the soil was soaked and they're taking it from the soil constantly. Then maybe since it was grown in that soil, I rather not have heavily pesticides potatoes, and I can handle pesticide, let's say on orange that has a peel that actually peels off. So then you can make, if you have to, then you can kind of make a conscious choices. So it's really important to be educated about things. So I'm always for education.
Fruits with peel like banana get less pesticide inside.
Yeah, because it stays on a peel.
Yes. No, that's.
I never really thought of it that way because I've been doing a lot more organic food, but I never thought about it, what absorbs and what doesn't, because I do all the non-GMO and stuff also. That really makes sense, because I never thought about the peel, and potatoes absorb everything.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
You can definitely Google it up. You can definitely Google up the vegetables and fruits that are sort of safe to eat conventional. That it's, or like if you have to make these choices, it's better because, but that would be my general rule. It's as long as you peel off the peel and you don't eat the peel, then you're always better off. The more, especially if it's in the ground, then, you know, it gets washed off from the rain, and then it stays in the ground and it gets absorbed in the ground and then it stays in the ground. And if like the potato has to grow out of whatever is in the ground, then it's soaking these things up inside itself.
No, that makes a lot of sense actually.
It does.
And honestly, to have like for me, it's really important to not only be educated, because you don't have a choice, you know.
I don't hear you. I hear the baby.
So no, that how you said that, you know, sometimes because organic, and it's so important to say that because sometimes organic is expensive and you can't afford it all the time, but to know what absorbs it the most and what you can avoid and what you can try not to eat, and then the ones that you're willing to kind of like, it's fine, it's not too bad. It's so important to mention because, you know, it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm all organic, but in reality, like to afford that it's not always easy, you know. So
right.
It's a good advice to be like, okay, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I can't because I just can't afford it, you know. But to know that, you know, you can actually, there's an alternative to look at what absorbs less and what will ultimately give you less pesticides when you eat it. That's super interesting, actually. But yeah, so I have a couple of questions that people have sent to me for today's meeting, for the Q&A, but I don't know. So Tara, you know, she just wrote a book for children, and it's awesome. It's doing super great, and we're all really proud of her, honestly, to see the success that she's having. So I don't know if you have any questions you want to ask her in regards to her writing or her book, or anything that interests you. You know, this is her second book that she's written, so she's experienced now. So she can, if you have any advice, like for me, it's really interesting because I've always thought about writing a book, you know, so I'm super intrigued to know more. So yeah, do you have any questions?
Now, what's your new book that you just wrote?
It's a start of the children's series. It's called Detective Bella Unleashed. It's the series, and the book's called The Case of Missing Max, and it's a book for children about like elementary school age. It's a chapter book, but it's still not too big. So it's like when the first moment when children start to read chapter, yeah, like not super thick, but you know, it has pictures in it, and so this was it. And it's written from the point of view of the poodle in a story, and it's basically her adventure with the poodle's kind of a pampered girl who moves to new town, and next door lives a Siberian husky, Bella, with her family of 3 kids. So she lives in this chaotic, she's kind of rough around the edges, but she is like street smart, while this poodle has her business mom as the owner, a single lady who's a business mom and who just pampers her and everything. So it's from the point of view of the poodle, and she comments on humans' life, and the little puppy goes missing. So the little puppy Max goes missing. So it's an adventure of them to find it out and seek out the puppy, and this little poodle becoming a little more brave and venturing into the world of this brave, rough around the edges Bella, who is the true heroine. But it's all from the point of view of the dogs.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That is cool. What inspired you to write children's book?
I wrote the first time I wrote nonfiction for adults. That was that health book, as we talked about. And after I was done with it, I wanted something because I was so submerged with the subject and the research and everything. I just needed something. I needed something to a little bit clear my mind, and I was looking for something that would be just creative work that would not involve that. And because I homeschool, I wanted to do something that I could have my daughter a little bit more part of it, because she showed interest when I was writing the first time about writing. So I wanted to have something that she could be part of, and that could actually be part of her, schooling, because she was the beta reader. She got to learn like, how do you structure story, what would be right, would be wrong, and I had a bunch of questions to ask her, which is always cool for, especially like for, I find it with homeschooling important things that it's much better, your child learns much better when you say like, oh, I don't know something, how about you help me figure it out, than if you say, okay, 1 + 1 is 2 and you got to learn that, So when they are like becoming part of the book and part of the story, then she gets to learn much more about, language arts. And I just, when I look right now, I don't follow any books as far as language arts goes with her. Especially to me, English is the second language. So it's, I don't even know how do you teach it as a first language to the little ones. So I kind of like always look at the end of the year what she's supposed to understand and know, and I basically like look at the beginning of this year what she needs to know within this year. And as I look at it, I'm like, well, she already knows everything. She could actually like, not with math and other subjects, but definitely when it comes to, language arts and reading, that she already is fully aware of it. And all that happened without me even trying. All that happened just because of, being part of the writing. So it's like doing your homeschooling work and creating a book and becoming being an author. So it's kind of helps me to do more things all at once.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Let me ask you a couple of questions about your writing, and then I want to ask some questions about your homeschooling, because I know some moms are really interested in knowing about how you did it. So what is one of the biggest struggles you faced as a writer?
Editing.
Sorry?
Editing is by far the hardest and bigger struggle, because when it depends on each writer. Most people, the biggest bulk of people quit writing the book during the writing phase when they write. And but if you make it through the writing phase, you are way more likely to actually bring it all the way to the end and bring it to publish, which actually takes longer than the writing, and there is a lot to it. But if you actually have something, it's easier to work at it. But to me, the writing itself, it's actually the most joyous part. I enjoy that part the most. Like it's the creative part when you're like a fairy flying through the field and you feel like you wrote the best book in the world and it's gonna be so awesome, and you're all creative, and it's like a painter putting paint on a paint, and then you finish your book and then you kind of have to go back and you have to edit. So it means now the moment of the joy when you were that fairy kiss, you're making up with the muse every day and you feel so awesome and your muse is awesome to you and you keep writing, and then you finish and you have to come back and you have to look at it with critical eyes. And you have to ask the people and you have to ask your beta readers, and you're basically begging people to find flaws within your work. Because if they don't find flaws, then the readers will read. So then you have the beta readers look at it. So first I try to edit it myself, find all the flaws. Then I look at the beta readers, then I fix it with them. Whatever, take in consideration their thing. Then I bring it to the editor afterwards. See what the editor finds as a flaws. And that's truly the hardest part, because that's like just being beaten, because everything you felt like it's so awesome and airy and flirty, now all of a sudden becomes all red line. And why this? Why that? Are you sure? You're repeating that same word. you know, there might be a plot hole here. Just because I saw it in my mind when I was writing, it doesn't mean the reader sees the exact same thing. They go like, you know, like I have that picture in my head and it kind of plays like a movie and you describe it, but maybe they don't see, or maybe you didn't describe it to the detail that they see it, and they go like, but I thought this person or this dog or that happened that way. And then you actually realize like, oh, you're right, I didn't mention it earlier. So it's the critical part of the book where you feel like, it feels like somebody just skinned you alive and you have to like regrow the new skin. But by now, with the first book, it was extremely difficult. That was extremely, you know, you feel complete. I felt beaten down. I felt there is just no way anybody. And the other thing is that every writer, every single one I know goes through this phase, and you go and you feel like the book is the best book in the world, and then you go down and you feel like it's the worst book ever written. And you feel like nobody will ever read it, and why would anybody read your work on top of everything? Like, why would anybody would care to read what you wrote, and who am I to write a book? And so it's this roller coaster of emotions you got to go through to do it. And to me, I have the highest respect for the first time authors, because once you do it first time, you know that roller coaster. So you kind of like can embrace for that, and you understand you'll go through it, and that phase will end when you feel so horrible about your book. But when you do it for the very first time with the very first book, then that's really hard, because you just don't know whether you're gonna feel any different, especially when you're down. So, and that's how most books end up in the closets. I mean, the biggest amount of books ever written in a world, you know, where they are in people's hard drive or in their closets, and they're never been published. There is probably 100 times as many books non-published that those who ever saw the, you know, those who actually managed, the people who went through that fear and was like, I'll give it a shot. Maybe somebody would like my work, actually.
No, that's really cool. I think that, you know, I think you've given us a lot of valuable advice when it comes to what it would feel like to actually start writing. And I think from our previous interview, one of the best pieces of advice you said is just to start. You know, it's just take 10 minutes of your day to set up and, you know, write down whatever you want to write about. And then you said that you get so caught up into it that you actually don't stop, you know. So I think that for moms who want to write a book and they feel like they don't have the time, the idea that you can do it in this small segment of time a day, or, you know, it really it gives us hope that it's possible if we're able to just, you know, in those 15 minutes just do it. And I think for me it's hard because, you know what's funny, my brain like sometimes shuts down on me. I don't know if it happens to you guys, but when I have free time, I'm like, I swear I have 1,000 things I could be doing, but I'm not doing them. Like when I want to do something, like for example, I want to read a book, or I want to read or write something, but at that moment it's like it's peaceful and quiet, and I'm just like, let me just enjoy this, because it's gonna not, like, you know, and then you get caught up in something else, and I'm like, I could have used that time, those 15 minutes, I could have put them in that moment. But that happens to me where like I'm thinking about the things I want to do once my daughter's down for a nap, and then when my daughter's down for a nap, I'm like, oh, let me just lie down here for a second and like relax. And then I'm like, I should have been, like, I could have been writing, or I could have been, you know.
And that's typical, you know. Procrastination is typical, especially for authors, especially like if you're actually like, you know, if you're author in your heart, then like procrastination is like, I call her Miss Procrastination. She has a name. She actually has to me, she has personality. Like we decide what we do. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna procrastinate. The Miss Procrastination, what you're gonna do. And, you know, I try to like persuade her that at least if we procrastinate, let's procrastinate on something like worth procrastinating on. So like I try to like binge watch like TED Talks, you know, or like do like, I can get caught up in research And I can spend hours reading someone else's work and just doing someone else's stuff that actually like no longer anymore have, you know, value into what I'm writing. You know, I can start writing about health and I end up reading a whole bunch of work from anthropologists about evolution of a human being, you know, like so to the point that actually it is valuable, that makes me understand, but I get into details that are no longer relevant to what I'm doing. But it's you know, it's all of us who do it. But I can tell you one thing, that if you set yourself them 15 minutes and you want to procrastinate, then you go like, okay, I will reward myself with doing nothing, and or that nap after 15 minutes. That's all you have to do. And you set it sounds almost weird, but it really does help to set a timer. Just set down your timer on the phone and go like, that's it, that's all I'm gonna do. It's 15 minutes, no more. I'm no longer obligated. But if you actually do them 15 minutes, then if you choose to go watch your favorite TV show episode, you feel that as a reward. On the end of that episode, you go like, I got it because I did something. Well, if you watch it and you go, I'll start writing afterwards, which you don't because you're always stuck up, then you only feel sort of guilty and you think you'll watch something else. Then your kid wakes up from the nap, right? So you no longer can do anything. And on the end of the night, you go to sleep and you go to sleep guilty. Well, if you actually give that little bit of work for yourself, for your own soul, you go to sleep very happy and you wake up happy and your day is better. So that in itself, it's totally worth it. But I get it, you know, I got my Miss Procrastination. She whispers in my ear always, let's go, you know, check out Google Earth and visit India. Let's see how the Taj Mahal looks from Google Earth. So it's normal. It's just normal with everybody. But when you like get that and you get a tiny bit of accomplishment that you set yourself for yourself, that is not doing laundry, that if it means your dishes are not done, if it means your laundry isn't folded, if it means whatever, but it's that piece of work you do for yourself. You don't do it for anybody. You don't do it to help the world, to stop the world's hunger. You do it that you know you do something yourself and that you spend 15 minutes doing some valuable work that's gonna last after you. And this is, I think this is quite important for a woman because men tend to do work that it's lasting. You know, they build a house and it's there. They, you know, they do something and it's there. They work like the typical male job. It's something that is lasting and that you can see later. You know, I always said like, you know, what was my work? I spent 3 hours cooking. Everybody eats it and all I have left is dirty dishes that I'm gonna load up and I'm gonna clean, and tomorrow or or not even tomorrow, from lunch to the dinner, you're starting all over again. So actually the amount of the work, what is typical work for a woman, it's often unseen within hours. And so it's really good if you do something that on the end it's there. If it's a written piece of something and you can come back and it exists.
That's actually so interesting. I never made that connection before.
I've never thought of it like that before, but it makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's true. It is so unseen, all the work that we do. And it's true, men, you know, we know that they bring home the money. So it's like, it's there, it's always coming in, you know what I mean? And like with like same thing, building a house, it's, you know, their jobs show a longer effect than what we do because it just, you know, it gets eaten up. Because we're coaches and therapists to our children and our husbands. And
absolutely.
That goes in the brain and no one else sees it.
Absolutely. We do that never ending cycle. So, but it's important that we have, you know, just like if you artists, other artists, you can paint a painting and the painting is there on the end. Just think of your child when you do some simple project with your child and you have that piece of art you create with your baby, then it's there, and look at how excited is the child to actually have something finished on the end. And it's just the same for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really important. And I think a lot of women, one awesome thing that you actually mentioned in the interview that it sticks with me is that you felt like, you know, a lot of us feel, especially when we have younger kids, that you were in this position, and I was in that position where you're just waiting for your husband to come home. Because if you don't have something for yourself, you're just home with the baby doing all this stuff, but at the end, it's for the home. It's like for a survival kind of need. It's not really for a deeper kind of need. So you're just waiting for your husband. You're just like on a waiting clock, and you're just sitting there, and it drives you crazy, and it really can get you into a dark place, you know, because what do they say, like idle hands is the devil's playground, but something like that, you know,
Something like that. Mm-hmm.
something like that. It's not exactly a good metaphor for this, but it's basically like your brain is not really being used at the moment. Like you're doing things that you're it's mechanical. You're washing dishes, you're changing diapers, you're playing with your kid, but how, like, it's not very hard. So it's like you go on a what do you call it, oh my god, what's the word when you go to like an autoplay, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Autopilot,
yes. And you're just an autopilot. And I was feeling like that too, you know, that you're kind of just waiting. Oh, I can't wait till my husband comes home. I'll be able to talk to somebody, or I'll be able to think about something else. I'll be able to, you know.
I know. Then he comes home and you go, we are out of diapers, and he took that kind of poop, and your husband's like, the conversation we have, you know, and they're like, and they live in a completely different world when you're like so saturated by, you know, the diapers and dishes and laundry and baby food and throw ups and poops and everything the man really does not want to hear about, and you really don't want to talk about it either, but there is really nothing else in your life.
Yes.
So it's a good thing when you like get something. So I think it's important. It's important for, you know, your own psyche of just existence, of having some sort of life. And when you actually, the good thing is like once you start doing whatever you're doing, whether it's like, for me it's writing, or then later on like working on a book to bring it to the end. Like I said, the writing is not the only part of it. It's actually a very small part of it, but it's a project. It's something you work on. And if you every day give it like tiny bit, then at that night you can go to sleep and you go, you know, I left a little bit of that project. And every night before I go to sleep, I try to like leave me with, like I have like notes for myself that would say, you know, like whatever I gotta do. And here I have like that I love me, and I put that like on a piece of like veil, and I put it like I love you, don't go back to bed, I promise you will be happy. When I have to get up early in the morning to actually do that work, so I do that. I actually write myself my own love note to go like, please sit down and don't go back to bed, don't hit the snooze button, you know. And so I leave myself to something pleasant to come back to. And that helps me. I mean, you got to find like all kinds of ways you got to trick yourself. But once you start doing, and once you actually start doing that, and when that birth of that book or that painting or a song or whatever you might create, you know, whenever that product like comes and you birth it, you are like, wow, I did that. I did that. That's amazing. When I did my first book and I was turning it into audiobooks, I had 60 people audition to narrate my book. And I mean, it was a wonderful feeling. It wasn't just like I wrote a book, there are 60 people who actually want to read my book. And I'm here like choosing between auditions. And that in itself was worth the entire production of the audiobook, which actually got really successful too with that first book. It was really good. It's amazing. It's just a good feeling. It's a good feeling to have something on the end of the day.
No, that's wonderful. I feel like I'm in the same place. Like where I feel like, you know, I'm working on this first time moms course, and I'm feeling very like I have to nurture and parent myself a lot, because it's very nerve-wracking to give birth to something and then have it like ask the world to like give you feedback, and then once you start doing a beta on it and you start to get people to tell you, is this going to work, is this not going to work, you know, is this worth it? But to me, it's something I just have to do, you know what I mean? It's like something I just have to do. I'm not sure what's going to come of it, but to me it's like it's so important to give women what I feel is lacking in so many ways, you know? And if this is going to be a viable business for me, I'm not sure. But this is just the beginning, you know? This is not just one idea. This is just the beginning for me, you know? And for me, it's really important to try it and not be afraid of doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can, if you just do it for yourself, to just do something as a project and actually not to make it in a way that, like, of course the money comes, they do come, but it should not be your focus. Your focus should be the process, that you gotta learn the way to enjoy it. When you enjoy the process, you create a product that the financial, you know, the financial reward comes as like a bonus. It just does come, but it should not be your focus. It should not be your goal. Your goal should be to do something for yourself that helps you, because when your heart is part of it, then you create the best thing, at least in my mind.
No, I agree. For me, yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, for me, like when I create something, it's just something that I know it's something that I'm so passionate about, that I'm so like, I just know it's needed, you know? And but for me, it's like it's more about being the support for women, because I see how much we needed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if I can be that woman for somebody, if someone can look at my course and be like, wow, that was super helpful, like I had the best experience because I listened to your advice, and or like you told me something that no one else told me, you know, and it helped me prepare. And I think for me that's the biggest gift that I can receive is to have someone benefit from something I created.
Absolutely. And you will feel amazing. You will definitely feel amazing when it happens. And I see a huge need for what you're doing, because it's true, as a mom, there is a lot of, you know, we try to upkeep for the society that it's all beautiful, that it's the most amazing things on our life, it's to become mother, which is true on some part, but you know, there is a true hard part you go through. And if you feel like, I supposed to feel amazing, this is supposed to be the best moments of my life 24/7, and you don't feel it 24/7, then you start to feel it's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And so you need a course like that, but you're gonna say like, yeah, you're creating something amazing, and it's gonna be the best thing and the biggest thing of your life, that you're mother. But it's okay that you cry at night, and it's okay you don't feel, you know, 100% all the time, and it's okay, you don't have to feel guilty that you want to go out and have a, you know, cup of tea with your friend without your child, on your own, because you need it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's also about educating the women so that they can educate their like their support system. You
Very
know,
true.
because it's not even like, sometimes the mom knows it, but because everyone around her is like, that's not the way you do it, or that's the wrong, you know, then they feel like they have to be silent, you know, even though they're feeling it. It's about, hey, look at this video, or look at this, what she's saying, I'm right. So they'll have a stronger voice to be like, no, actually, you can help me in this way, and this is fine. And you know what I mean? Because even I still feel guilty. People still are judgmental towards me and my family. People, even my own partner sometimes is, and they don't even realize, you know, they don't even realize that they're doing it. But it takes me knowing that I have that power within me, which some women don't, for me to be like, brush it off, you know? So it's about being able to to have that support, to know like, hey, I'm having a really bad time, but if I go to this group of women and I say what I need to say, they're going to agree with me and I'm going to feel supported. I'm going to feel like I know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, I don't have that doubt in the back of my mind, because we doubt so much. But honestly, it's been such a pleasure. We didn't even get to the part of homeschooling because we just went on about the writing, which is awesome.
So what's your next question?
Which is awesome. I just don't want to make this too long because I know moms are busy and I don't want to make this too long. So I think maybe the best thing is maybe I can ask the questions of homeschooling in a different interview, so we separate it. So this is more like the Q&A for the author part, but it's awesome because we do have a lot of questions for your homeschooling. You have homeschooled your daughter.
I do. I'm an avid supporter, so I'm excited about my books, but I would like to one time in the future maybe write a book about homeschooling and for homeschooling. So far I haven't. I have the other things lined up, but I'm very, very supportive, and I'm absolutely looking forward to it. Not only that I believe it's the best thing you can do for your child, I think it's the best thing for the mother. And I have multiple reasons, and I just love it because a lot of times I talk to moms who just tell me I can't do it because of because I got to make money. And I said well, I make money and I'm homeschooling, right? I can, right now what I do, I have royalties and actually I can afford to be sick or have my kids sick and I'm fine. It actually gives me more freedom that I don't have to have my child Monday through Friday at school. I have more freedom and it just takes the point of view. And so I'm super excited for the opportunity and hopefully have a chance to show some moms who are maybe on there to show that actually I find more freedom, more chances and opportunities for parents to homeschool their child, and more opportunities for the child when it's homeschooled, when she's home, where he or she's homeschooled, to do things just like I said, I don't even do anything as far as reading or something with my daughter, yet she passes the test. When I look at it, I'm she is so much ahead of everything without me even trying. She actually is the worst off where I follow curriculums, which is math. So it's not that she's worst off. She just is the fifth grader where she's supposed to be. She's not ahead of anything, but she's ahead of everything else because we don't do the typical standardized thing that was created in 1800s when factories were created and they needed to do something for children when parents were in factories. So they were raising these factory workers and set them in the classrooms and forced child that has energy to sit for 8 hours, do something completely unnatural, and put them in the institution such as school and put them in a room full of the same peer level children that later on, as much as people think that homeschool children are not able to socialize, they actually socialize with the world, where the children at school socialize with only their own class. So they actually only can talk to the peer level children, the same age. So I'm actually very passionate. I will save it for the next time.
I saw
a little taste.
The fire. I'm so excited because honestly, knowing it's something sometimes we don't even think about because we don't have examples to follow, and to me, I always knew the education system failed me. It failed me over and over again, and it took me going above and beyond to figure it out, to make myself, and even half the stuff I learned was completely useless. I have used absolutely nothing that I learned in the education that I was put through Catholic school. So to me, it's if I can figure out a way to homeschool my daughter, I will. I am just so excited because I really want to have a session with you where we do an interview about everything homeschooling, because I just want to know everything.
Me too. I've been thinking about it so much here lately. It's crazy.
Because the education system has failed us. What is the point? they don't teach us the proper math. They don't teach us how to do our taxes. They don't teach us the stuff that matter.
They don't teach you life. They
Like
don't teach you
life things.
When you homeschool, your child is at school 24/7. You're basically all the time. And it's the approach that once you switch this approach as a mother and you approach your child constantly, that whatever you do, it's a lesson. Measure me a cup of milk is a lesson. And you can teach half a cup, half full, and quarters. You can teach fraction a child who's 5 years old by just having them help you in a kitchen. If you realize, and this was the hardest thing for me, to just switch the thinking of how you approach your child. And if you approach it that everything you do is learning experience, and you don't give them, I have to like correct my husband. Sometimes I ask her and he gives me an answer. I'm like, I wasn't asking her because I don't know the answer. I'm asking her because I need her to figure out the answer. So like you approach the life this way. And then all of a sudden, once you get in this rhythm, it's so much easier. It's so much easier to homeschool you. It takes you less work to homeschool your child than it takes to send your child to school and do homework with them. You spend less time doing homeschooling than doing homework. And on top, you don't have to pre-pack some lunch, stress out in the morning. That's the biggest thing to me, is truly the stress the child and a parent experience in the morning to be somewhere on time. Because their life, their first moment of interaction of the day, it's based on stress. Because no kid wants to get up for school. And I still don't know anyone who really did. I know my mom was like kicking me out of bed 10 times, and I would not eat breakfast. I would just grab the roll and take a bite and go. My mom being mad for not having breakfast, then she feels guilty because I don't have the breakfast as the child's supposed to have, or like you're running to school with your breakfast in your hand. And so your first moment of interaction that is important, that sets your day forward, it's stressful. And that's what sending kids to school does. It doesn't matter even if you send them to the private schools that you pay a bunch of money, you still don't avoid this stress in the morning. And that's something you avoid as a homeschooling parent. Now, I mean, it has its downsides. I'm not saying it doesn't, because then your kid like realizes it can take 2 hours to get out of the door, and they take them 2 hours, but when kids who go to school can be faster. But so it does have its downfall. It's not 100%. There are moments when you hate teaching and you just want to strangle your child, and you just go in your bedroom and you go like, you stay there, I'm going back here, let me vent this off, then we'll come back to that subject. But we are definitely in an age that when you don't know as a parent how to teach something, you can go on YouTube and you can literally go, how do you teach dividing by double decimals for 5th grade? And you will find 50 teachers who explain it to you right there. And you can just, even as a parent, you can, if you don't know how to convey that message. And I actually find it even better. If you don't know, you do it together with your child, and then you go like, did you figure it out? Do you get it? And your kid goes, yeah, I got it. I'm like, and you go like, so what did they mean? And have them to teach you how, how this whole thing's like happens together. So the child actually really does learn, and it learns much better, I think.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Oh my God, no, this got me so excited. I want to talk about this subject forever. Because I'm really, really interested, and I do have questions for you on it. So we're gonna just leave it at this for now. And then we have to do another session about homeschooling, so mommies know, who are on the fence or who are really considering, or who have not even thought about homeschooling at all, know that this is a possibility for them. And if we can, teach them the ropes of it, and who knows, I think knowing the options is really important. So I'm really excited about this. So thank you so much for joining us, Otakara. I'm honestly so proud of all your accomplishments, and I feel honored to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very grateful to be part of your group, and I think you're doing amazing jobs. And it's important what you're doing for the mamas and for the ladies, for us women. So thank you for all your work, and I'm super happy to do these interviews, and I'm excited to do another one.
I'm
Thank you.
excited
I'm
to be part of
excited.
the next one.
Sorry, say that again.
That I'm excited to be a part of the next one. I'm really
Yes.
looking forward to it.
Thanks, Tara. We're so happy you made it on the call with us, and you're definitely gonna get a prize for being our the only one that was able to join us today. So we're gonna send you a little goodie for being so awesome. And honestly making the time, because I know it's difficult. I know as a parent, especially to a 13-month-old, is not easy. And you know, but she's here. She's a trooper. I really respect her, and I really care a lot about her. She's been through most of my meetings now, so I'm excited. And she's in the US too, actually.
Oh, awesome.
It makes me so excited when I know you get really big with your business thing you have going on. Like, I was there for the beginning of that. I was a part of it. So I can tell myself that it's gonna be awesome.
Oh, thank you. No, honestly, I really appreciate all the support that you've shown me, and for being so active. And I do, and you know, I want to bring anything that you're interested in, let me know. Because I do want to bring people that are of your interest, and that about topics that are really important to you, you know, so you can always let me know. But thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure, and I love you all. I feel so empowered after all these sessions with awesome women. So thank you so much. So thank you, Momlenials, for joining us. I'm so happy to have these ladies here with us today, and I hope you enjoy our video. We will be back on another interview with Otakara on homeschooling. So stay tuned for that.